advantage as well. So I'm Daniel, the founder of the Passive House Hub, and
I'm Julia. Hello. I'm the senior trainer at Passive House Hub. And you will see me, if you are joining one of our courses, you will see me in all the recordings.
yes, exactly, because we have a really clear way of separating our work. I'm the one for the crazy stuff, and you are the one for the good stuff.
For explaining
Yeah.
the ins and outs.
So Julia is really structured and organized and gets you through it and makes sure that you understand it. And I'm the one that is motivating you, inspiring you, giving you the big picture and the future of construction. And that's where we're at. So if you have any questions, please use the chat and write us there. So you can always ask questions. Julia is always here writing on the left while I'm presenting, and I will have an eye on it as well when Julia is presenting. And as well, please let us know where you're from, where you're coming in. So we are both from Perth, Western Australia, beautiful Perth, but we may have people from the UK, from Ireland, from wherever, Japan, Indonesia, all these different places. So that's all possible. So let's see who is actually joining us today. Okay, so how it will work, we will go now through the presentation that takes us about a half an hour. Then after the presentation, we have our Q&A session, and that's where we have as well have all the bonuses for you. So if you are interested in some bonuses, stick around, exactly. And as well, feel free to reach out to us and let us know a DM you in the case you want to have a video call after this with us to discuss your opportunities, or if you want to go for or if you want to buy the thing directly, we will send you all the things. Just let us know that you're in. Good to see you, Joao from Queensland. I hope it's not far warmer than we have it here right now. It's pretty warm in this room right now. But let's jump in. So let me share my screen, entire screen. Yes, share. And please let me know if you can see the screen. That would be good. If you could say yes, that would be amazing. Or just a Y, that I know that you can see my screen now. Perfect. Thank you, Belle, and thank you, Emma. Good to see you and amazing to have you on board. So let's jump into the presentation. I'm moving a few things around. Cool. So first of all, welcome. I'm the speaker today, Daniel. I'm a certified professional and structural engineer. I'm a carpenter by heart and as well an EU researcher. So I've done research for the European Union regarding knowledge transfer in the energy efficient buildings between the different European states and how we can actually do that. And then I have 25 plus years of sustainable and high performing construction. That's where I'm coming from. And I've supported global passive house projects around the whole globe, more or less. And then as well, we together trained over 1,200 people now in the professional world. So if you're joining us, you can be sure that we get you through it as well and that you know what you're doing afterwards. And I'm an expert in building physics, building science, and prefabrication, because prefabrication is the future of construction. 100%. We need to make construction more affordable and in a better quality. And that's what I'm all about. And Passive House is our first step in that world. But I'm not the only person here. Julia, I have not prepared something like this for Julia, but Julia, I want to say something as well.
Yeah, so thank you, Daniel. So I grew up in Germany and studied architecture in Darmstadt, so where actually the first passive house was built. So in a way, I'm now back to my roots, back to where it all started after a few years in the architecture world in Australia, in Melbourne, in Darwin, and in Perth, where I sort of noticed that something was missing. And I came back around that full circle to Passive House when I met Daniel at one of his talks in Perth and did the Passive House designer course back then. tried a little bit on my own. And then a year after that, I started teaching with Daniel and never looked back. Really fulfills me. We're passionate about what we do, which hopefully transpires in this next half an hour.
Yeah, as well for us, this is not a side gig. That's all what we do. We do Passive House education because we believe that you deserve to have the full focus. And that's the reason why we focus on education and have been improving our teaching style, our material, so that you can learn the best and that you're really feeling confident when you're actually going for the Passive House certification, so the exam. And we have good news for you. The new exam is only 1.5 hours, or not 3 hours any longer, but there are a few tricky things that we need to know when we're going for that exam, but Julia knows all that. So if you're doing the course with us, she will be guiding you through this different exam, I would say. I wouldn't say it's easier. It's definitely shorter, but it has a few things that you need to know if you want to make sure that you're actually passing it. So what is this presentation about today? So what if it is possible to increase your profitability, win awards, and attract high quality clients? Can we achieve that? Is it possible to achieve that with sustainable construction? Often what we hear is that there is a belief that clients won't pay extra for sustainable design, but let's find out if this is actually true, and do they actually have to pay more? So first of all, we want to speak about Passive House as your design solution. So is Passive House actually an option for you that you can work on? Expectation of occupant health, unmatched comfort, and outstanding energy efficiency. That's what your clients are getting. Then the benefits for you as an architect is that you're getting a higher fee, you're more profitable, you're able to win awards, what we tackle later as well in more details, and you're able to attract premium clients. And as well, if you're in that belief that you want to make good in the world and you want to make a difference in the world, then definitely Passive House is the way to go. And yes, soon you know it, you can't go back. You understand what this is about, and all what you want to do is doing better. In the case it's not a Passive House, still after the training, you're able to apply it to any project that is out there. Cool. Then you have the marketable advantage. So in other words, you can stick out of the pack by doing Passive House. Passive House is still a niche, but we know that there is a higher demand than supply. In other words, we know that there is more people that want to get it, but less people that are able to deliver it. And that's the reason why the prices of Passive Houses right now in Australia, in New Zealand, are ridiculously high, because people can charge it. Yeah, that's pretty much what we see. But let's go into how actually Passive House works. Yeah, so a little bit from a different angle. So you have a really clear outcome that Passive House is giving us. Let me use our laser pointer. Yeah, now the pointer is back. Let me change that a little bit. Okay, so there's a really clear outcome defined in the Passive House standard that is designed around the human need. So it's human-centric design. It's around what we as human needs. There's science about it. It's really clear, it's simple, and it's straightforward. We have our comfort zone with our temperature and relative humidity. And then we have our health requirements, like health requirements, so less than 80% relative humidity on surfaces, so that we don't have mold, and that we have an air quality that is high. That's the reason we keep our CO2 levels below 1,000 parts per million. So that's the outcome that's defined. Every Passive House has this outcome. It doesn't matter where you build. And then the next thing is your energy use target. So you have your 15 kilowatt hours per square meter a year. Yeah, and if you want to now understand what that actually means, what it translates to, it's about 300 liters of petrol for a 200 square meter home. Yeah, that's the output of your system that it needs to deliver on the highest for a Passive House. And the same we would have on the cooling side, another 300 liters, but you will see in a second, it's actually less than that. Like the output and the input is two different things. So this is what is the output that the building is the building needs. But to deliver that is a different story, but I go into that in a second. And then there is the building requirements, and the building requirements are depending on your climate and your location. So in other words, if you're having a thick buildup, then like if you're in a harsh climate, you need a thick buildup. If you're in a mild climate, then you are able to get away with a thin buildup. Sydney, for example, one of my friends was able to build a certified passive house with just a 90 millimeter stud, insulated, happy days. I think he had only 18 centimeters of insulation in the roof. I said, be careful, put a bit more in there. But theoretically, it was good enough on that. And
Daniel,
yes.
just can I interrupt you, because
Yes.
a really good question here, and really fitting at the moment. The question is, does that heating demand that you're mentioning there include the hot water?
No, it's only the conditioning. So it's for heating and cooling. Only the conditioning that is spoken about to maintain that temperature between 20 and 25 degrees all year long. So when we are now saying we're using a heat pump for that, not for the hot water, but for your conditioning, then out of that 600 liters of water, 600 liters of petrol for a 200 square meter home, you actually bring it down to 200 liters. In other words, your conditioning would be 1 liter of petrol equivalent per square meter a year. In other words, if you're having a 200 square meter home, you need 200 liters. In other words, every 3 months, so once a quarter, you would need to fill up your petrol tank of 50 liter at your house. Obviously, we're not using petrol, but that is equivalent because that's something that people understand. So how often do you fill up your car that you're driving around a little bit? This would be now once a quarter that you would need to do it as a maximum. Yeah, so most of them are not even half of that. Yeah.
Good, but we're not really running passive house on petrol, right?
No, we don't. Like, it makes no sense. So most things that make sense here in Australia, because of the whole high solar gains we're having, solar is the way to go. Not just with passive house, with all the buildings, because solar is really economical. As long you're not living in a forest or in the shadow of a mountain or something like that, like when you're not getting your direct solar radiation. But otherwise, solar is always economical. But this is something you can add as well later, when the building is finished. You can't add later something like air tightness or additional thermal insulation without an extreme investment, what is often not economical any longer. Cool. So now that's how the passive house standard works. A clear outcome around the human design, a clear energy target that we say that's the maximum you're allowed to use to achieve passive house on your heating and cooling demand. And then the requirements of your build-ups and your building design is then depending on your climate. There's no climate in the world where you can't achieve passive house. Yeah, and there's no building design theoretically that can't be achieving passive house. Even the Grada Familia in Barcelona could be a passive house. It took over 100 years to build. This passive house, it probably would take a little bit longer again.
Another 100 years.
Another 100 years, maybe not. But it's possible as well. The glass cube in New York of the Apple Store, the famous Apple Store, that's just a glass cube. That could be as well a passive house if we are willing to spend the money on the building material for it, because a glass cube would need a bit better glazing that they're using there. But yeah, let's jump into what the passive house components are. Yeah, most people call them the passive house principles. We call them components because they're tangible. They're something you can touch. They're like material. For me, the principles is more that human-centric design, that 15 kilowatt hours. There are principles that we're sticking to, and that's what we have to achieve. Components for me is something like our super insulation. Yeah, that's what we're doing. The insulation is designed for your climate that you can achieve your principles, your 15 kilowatt hours. Then our high air tightness construction with our 0.6 air exchanges per hour at 50 Pascal, super technical. What does this mean? 50 Pascal means that we have a pressure difference between inside and outside that is created by a wind of about, what would that be? When your small branches in the trees are starting to move, that's the force difference. So if you open a window one end of the house and you open a window on the other end of the house, and you're having now a force of about 5 kilo on a square window that is about a square meter. If that is a force of closing or opening it, then we are speaking about this 50 Pascal per square meter. If your front door is 10 kilos and you have a window open on the other end, then that would be similar. You know, probably more from your cars, but that is now the wind pushing it over. That's a different story. But yeah, this is what is air tightness about. And then 0.6 air exchanges means we call this airtight, but theoretically, every 2 hours at this pressure difference, we're still having a full air exchange, or even a bit more than full air exchange. So it's not so that there's no air going in and out. There's still some air going in and out, but instead of 0.6, instead of that 26 air exchanges by new measures we're having here now in Australia, it's 0.6. So it's massive difference. Then thermal bridge-free design. In other words, we're not going skiing without gloves. We're putting gloves on. That's what we're doing with Passive House. You could do it as well without gloves, but it's uncomfortable. Yeah, that's pretty much what we're doing here. Thermal bridge-free design for a house that wears gloves and a skiing mask probably. And then high-performing windows. Most of the times triple glazed, but here in Australia, like Melbourne, Sydney, Perth, all these areas, we're getting away with double glazing. We don't need triple glazing, and we can get a double glazing for less than $500 a square meter. Not installed. That's just the supply, and not these ridiculous numbers that we hear of 1,200. That's not required. That's not Passive House requirements. That's something that is a design decision to go for Scandinavian moon-cut timbers, full timber windows with hidden hinges and all the bells of whistles with 7 closing points. And you can spend in Europe on a front door in Germany over 10,000 euros. So that's about $20,000. We don't have to because our burglars are not as advanced.
And it's not a Passive House requirement.
It's not a Passive House requirement.
What Daniel is saying, your full timber windows are not Passive House requirement. That's a design decision. Your Passive House needs a certain performance of the window, and that's easily achieved in Australia with UPVC and double glazing.
And look around in Europe. All the windows are UPVC because they are the economical one. White UPVC, that's what everybody uses. It's not because it's a design decision and that it has to look amazing and having this crisp white. No, it's because it's the most economical way of doing it. Okay. And then we have as well our ventilation, our heat recovery ventilation, because we can't rely on natural forces. They're not reliable because they're changing. We need a mechanical force, and that's the reason we're using our heat recovery ventilation system. That is a mechanical force. And when we're using a mechanical force, why not recover the heat that we don't need to throw all the heat out of the window or ducts in this case? Okay.
Good, Daniel. Before you move on to the next point, which is our finance, we've got another question here saying if the Passive House standards discourages high floor-to-ceiling heights, as this standard is based on the floor area, not on the volume. So what is the background behind that?
Okay, so the reason or where that is coming from is you want to have a high ceiling height for having your hot air up at the ceiling, so that the hot air is actually forming up there, and then your head is not getting into that hot air point. That's not happening in a Passive House. You don't need that because a Passive House has not these massive thermal differences. So the thermal difference between the floor, you probably know them better.
Yeah, between your ankles and the head of a seated person is just 1 Kelvin. 2 Kelvin.
2 Kelvin, yeah, 2 degrees Celsius.
2 degrees.
Yeah.
So there's not a big, it's not really hot up there and really cold down there.
Yeah.
So that's why you don't need it. But what if someone would want it for a aesthetical reason, like high ceilings?
It can be done. The only thing is, think about that additional, say, half a meter that you're putting in is an additional point where you have to spend money on. And as well, it's an additional point where energy can escape out of the building. So it will always be more economical to have theoretically low ceiling heights because of the material that you use, that you need to actually build it. So physically, just to get that additional height. So you need finishes internally, externally. You need, instead of a step ladder, you probably need then a scaffolding. So all these things are coming together that are adding cost. And then additionally, you have this strip of external building envelope that is not theoretically needed, and that is actually another place where energy can escape, or come in, depending heat or cool. And then that additional energy exchange that happen in that area is something that you have to handle with your conditioning. And as your conditioning is fixed, then maybe your wall thickness gets thicker. Yeah, just because of that. But anything can be done, no problem.
Anything can be done. Any design decision can be done, but you may have to, as Daniel said, you may have to increase your performance of certain points.
Exactly. So Passive House is not limiting you in design. It's just showing you the impact of your design decisions. And then it becomes an economical question.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So now we're coming actually to the economics. So let us look at the economics and the benefits for your client. So we know that the additional costs for Passive House exist. There's nothing to argue about it. There's additional investment. Yeah, so we know the additional investment is normally between 5 and 50% for residential single, like individual dwellings, normally between 5 and 50%. Typically, it's an additional $500 per square meter if it is designed properly for cost-effective and keeping the compactness of the building in mind. For example, if you're using an S shape for a building, what you could actually do, from whatever reason, then you're creating so many external walls for such a small amount of internal surface, like internal usable space, that you need a massive amount of external wall that actually need to be far better than if it would be a square. That increases that $500 massively. Yeah. But it's a good measurement, $500 a square meter. So if you say a 200 square meter home, it's an additional $100,000 of expenditure. Yeah. And then the additional value increase of your property is normally 14.9 in average. And if you're in an urban area like Melbourne, it can go up to 30%. So if you say the additional additional investment cost is 15%, and my additional average value increase is 15%, you're breaking even. But the reality is that normally you're having a far higher return of investment. So if you say 15% to 30, you're doubling your investment. So you have a return of investment immediately of going for Passive House. So yes, it costs more, but the value of the property goes up. In average, it's about $125,000. Where this number's coming from? These numbers are coming from the domain.com AU. They're doing every year a building report, and then there is a sustainable component where they're then telling us how much more are people willing to pay for buildings that are more sustainable. So it's not necessarily exactly Passive House, but you see the additional investment has a return of investment. Yeah. And then now we're coming to the really nerdy stuff, green loans. So because you're building Passive House, you can actually get green loans. That means you have lower interest rates, and that can increase the borrowing capacity by 25%. And as well, you can apply that green loan not just for the Passive House part, you can apply it for the whole building and the site. So if you're doing it smart, you're actually getting a lower interest rate for the whole project. And by this, you're saving massively. Like, it makes a massive, massive difference. If you're now looking at the green loans in a little bit more scientific way, this is now explained on one slide. We have a 3-hour presentation on our website. Is Passive House too expensive? It's 3 hours, as well as 3 CBD points. That explains that all in detail, how that actually works and why banks are doing this. So we can, but this is more optimistic and in a moment. I wouldn't say it is as good as it is shown here. We can reduce, like what happened in the year 2022. A borrowing capacity of $1 million went down in 14 months to just 700,000, or like 771, but yeah, 700,000 more or less. So we lost nearly 30% of borrowing capacity of our clients while everything was getting more expensive. And now because of the green loan, we can actually come to the point that the green loan is only a reduction of 10% instead of 30%. So you're having now 20% more capital available than if it would be conventional. And now 20% is more than 15%. So that means there's still some money available for other investments than the passive house if that is done. So but I don't want to go into much detail here. It's a bit technical and it needs a bit more explanation. Now we come to the return of investment for you as the designer that has done the training, and now you're able to get passive house projects. What does this actually mean? Why should I do it? We know that the client is winning economically. We know the client is winning health-wise. We know the client is winning from a future perspective. There's so many wins for him, but am I, as the designer, able to win? So let's look at that, how that looks like. So we're having here the additional investment of the $500 per square meter. And we know that about 30% or 35%, like a third, is for the design part of the passive house. So the additional money that a designer can get per square meter is between $100 and $175 a square meter as extra design fees. So that would be for a 200 square meter home, about $20,000 to $35,000 additional fees. This is the design side. Keep in mind, in there is the certification. Depending on how good the certifier knows you and how big the project is, and how much the certifier trusts you, that can be from $4,000 to $8,000 for a residential building. So that needs to be on a way subtracted. And then as well, but that is work you can do yourself. You can do blow door testing or commissioning of ventilation systems. That's another $2,000 to $3,000. But still, even if it's not $20,000, but just $8,000, it's far more return of investment than actually the investment of $5,000 into the course. So if you just look at these numbers now, the return of investment is actually 4 to 7 times the return of investment with just one project. So in other words, as soon as you have one passive house project, you're having paid for your investment into the certification. And then, like if you compare that 30% additional costs or like additional fees compared to your 5 to 15% additional fees for a normal build, you see that passive house is actually getting more to the designers than to the construction site in average. But let us now look at building studies, how they're actually performing in the long run from an economical perspective, because passive house doesn't need to be expensive. Yeah, and I want to show you that because especially in Australia right now, everybody says, "Oh, passive house is costing twice as much or whatever." It's crazy. It doesn't have to, and I want to show you that on a few examples. Here, an example from the US. The passive house was $165 a square meter, while the average price was $175 to $200 a square meter. In other words, it's already cheaper than conventional. Example from Ireland. Here they were looking at, so I have to stop the movement again. That doesn't like you. Now back on track.
Yeah.
So now an example from Ireland where they looked at a 290 square meter home. That's already a few years back, but at the end they were calculating it once as a conventional home and once as a passive house, and at the end it was $20,000 cheaper because you could get rid of your radiators, your plumbing for the radiators, and a lot of other savings. And by that, at the end, it was more economical. This project is extremely close to my heart. It's a project in Nepal where they were able to reduce the cost by 50% thanks to cheap building material and cheap labor. They were able to reduce that construction. You see, they're using bamboo and straw bale. And if we can teach this into the third world, how to use local materials like bamboo and straw, or doesn't need to be straw, like something that is organic, we can build something, push something together like a straw bale, then we can build passive houses. And that would be an amazing achievement for all these less wealthy people out there. And that's something I'm really like, it's a passion project for me that I would like to do in a bigger scale. Now back to my experience with people that I know in Ireland. A builder that was so so annoying. He was producing such a poor quality. I was always getting stomach aches when I saw his projects. But I only looked after him for a year. But after 7 years, he actually achieved 10% under conventional. Similar, we have of architects in Germany, in Darmstadt. Okay, Passivhaus comes from Germany and particularly from Darmstadt, and he is doing this already for over 20 years, but he is now able to achieve as well 10% cheaper than conventional in affordable housing in the city. And he shows, hey, we are 10% cheaper in construction costs, and obviously running costs, we don't even need to discuss that. But how about Australia? Where we are in Australia, can we do that as well? First of all, the cheapest one that I personally know of is $1,850 a square meter, owner built for what was it called?
Early
childhood
learning center.
Early learning center in Canberra. That's over. Is it 10 years ago?
I think 10.
Nearly 10 years ago. So but she was a woman to be like reckoned with. Like, she was a force, unbelievable. And she said, no, I'm not accepting it. And she achieved that for that price, obviously as owner builder, taking the risk on herself. But prices between 2,000 to 3,000 are relatively common in Australia. I know many projects like that. But where we're at on how efficient can we do it? Here, this is a good example. The Woodside building at Monash University in Melbourne, and here they're already achieving cost parity, it's called, when they're actually achieving the same cost for Passivhaus in conventional. So we're already achieving this. And if you're interested in winning awards, then definitely Passivhaus is the way to go. Year 2022, 6 of the 14 categories were won by Passivhaus as well. The category, what's it called? Excellence something, world best or something like that. Can't remember what it's called. But yeah, the main category was won by Passivhaus. We had over 250 projects that were submitted, and less than 20 projects were actually Passivhaus, and they nearly won half of the awards. So definitely a way of winning awards. Now we're coming to why choose us, Passivhaus Hub, and here I'm handing it over to Julia.
Yes, thanks, Daniel. So why do you want to choose us to do your course with? So I think one thing that Daniel said at the beginning already is because this is what we've dedicated our time to. This is all we do. We do education. We focus on our students. We've developed this course over the last 7 years, or Daniel has been working on this, and we've optimized it. On top of that, we have a flexible self-paced learning model now. So you can really choose when you want to learn. Yeah. So it's all fully recorded. So you can come home from work and do your studies, or on the weekend, whenever you want, and also in a time frame that you want. We have 48 small bite-sized 20-minute lessons that are really easy to listen to. So when you have 20 minutes, you can just have another unit to go. We also now have our AI tutor available, which is really exciting, because now you have instant judgment-free support. Not that we would judge you, because there are no stupid questions, but that AI tutor is always there, day, night, any time of the day. So you can ask questions.
Yeah, as well. Like, I don't know if you're working with AI already, with ChatGPT or something, and I must say the questions I'm asking there, I wouldn't ask them somebody else. Yeah, or not letting people know about issues and things like that. So there, it's private, it's yours, and you can ask whatever. And as well, you can dumb it down, or you can increase it depending where you want. And yeah, it's there for you 24/7. There's no restriction from our end.
It knows our language, it knows our materials. So it's not just like, this is a customized tutor. So you get answers that make sense. Our resources are plentiful. We have so many things that you can download, especially our formula sheet that is really made for you to use during the course, during the exam, and after your course. So really a great help. And then also when you sign up for our course, you get a full 12 months access. That means that even after you finish the course, you can still use that material to keep learning, because there's so much in it that you might want to watch it twice.
3 times.
Or 3 times, yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
definitely.
No hidden fees. So our package includes the material, the exam prep, the exam, and even a certification guarantee. So up to 3 exam attempts. No one ever needed 3, but should you fail the first attempt, we will look after you and you can do the exam again, because we want you to succeed. So in the end, this is at our heart, that you come out happy at the end of this journey.
Yeah, and as well, without additional fees.
Yes.
Yeah, like we look after you. Like it costs us, it will not cost you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Good. And then after you finished your exam or your course, then we have alumni support, business growth opportunities. So we are currently working on those with sort of, more force, more energy. Daniel puts a lot of energy into those business growth opportunities. And alumni is so important as well, that you have the connection to your peers, to people that think the same as you. So we have groups there.
Yeah. So at the end, what is happening now, in 2-3 months, Julia can run the Passivhaus up without me looking after anything except a few bits and pieces. So maybe 5 hours or so. So that gives me now the opportunity to actually support you after the course, because what we see, people need support, especially on the marketing and sales side, because we have now the people, they've done the training, they're motivated, they want to jump on it, and now how do I get my first job? And that's what we're helping with. So we're helping you with a marketing system that we are developing for our students that you can then get. In other words, it's a whole system. Like it's unbelievable. We're using it now for 3 years or 4 years, but since, what is it now? 2 months? Yeah, since 2 months, we're actually using it on that level that we want to provide it to you. And it's
Makes a lot of sense.
You may have noticed that things have changed in the last 2 months if you know us for a while. So yeah, it's definitely changing.
Yeah, and I think I said that before. We are recognized industry leader because we put all our effort into that. We were awarded the best Passivhaus training provider in 2022 by the Bild magazine.
And as well, we've trained over 5% of the global professionals, that not just English speakers, all of them. It's crazy. I've never thought that we are so influential. But anyway, and we know that we do a good job because students tell us. We have students. Last week we just had 2 students that actually were struggling with another provider, and these are the feedbacks that they're giving us: 50 times better. There's colors, there's logic, there's structure in it. So, and they've just done, like, this person just has done the 101 or is still in the 101. She hasn't even started with the real one that is really helping. So yeah, that's it's amazing. And as well, don't take it from me from a screenshot. Look at the reviews that we're having on Google or on Facebook. Both of them are there. As well, Trustpilot, but there's no even one because we just set it up yesterday. But yeah, there's definitely quality in the whole thing.
Yeah, cool. And then practical benefits and outcomes. So you are investing first, or so that's the thing. So you're signing up with us. That's your investment, approximately $5,000 at the moment. We still have a little bit of a special on. We'll talk about that later. Your time commitment is about 2 weeks. So we said it's approximately 80 hours that you need to invest. You can do it in 2 weeks. You could do it in a longer time frame. So that's now up to you how you want to work it. We usually recommend a time frame. We do it in about 8 weeks. So we have cohorts starting that we support with Q&A sessions. So you're going through the material by yourself, but we're coming together in Q&A sessions, so you're not feeling so alone. And you might feel a little bit, like, oh, I have to finish my module until next week because we have the next Q&A session. So that really helps people to stay on track. And then you finish this whole thing in about 8 weeks. So we have a welcome session and we have 6 Q&A sessions according to the 6 modules, and then another week for the exam prep, and then we finish it off with an exam. And that really makes sense. Obviously, you can take longer or shorter, however you want, but this seems to make really a lot of sense because then the time investment is about 10 hours per week, which seems to be quite doable next to a full-time job.
Yes, and as well, you have such a quick return of investment. You've done the course, you've invested it, and you will have, like, all your clients will benefit straight away, because every project you touch will be so much better from a performance, from a health perspective, from a human-centric design perspective. And then hopefully you're getting your first Passive House job really, really soon. And as well, like I said earlier, we are able to help you with that. We as well, like, there's so much happening next year. Next year will go super crazy. If you think it's going crazy now, it will be far crazier next week. Yeah, cool. So for the question that we had at the beginning, can we actually do it? Yes, Passive House enables you to design healthier homes your clients love and gladly pay premium for. So yes, you can achieve that. Now we're coming to our little special. So if you want to do the course that is coming now, or even a later one, but that offer is only on now for the next 24 hours. Julia is probably now sending you capital.
First,
she's sending you the discount code and the
Send
link where you can buy it immediately, or you can as well book a call with us, where we actually have 10 minutes consulting call, so you can talk to Julia or myself, and we have slots available tomorrow, even on Saturday, and then I think Monday. And there we will help you to find out if it's right for you or not right for you, and you're not losing your $200 discount special. So you can definitely do that. And then you're still getting the early bird. Like in a moment, we went up to 4,700. So you still get 4,500 with that $200 discount. And it's still not the full 5,000 where we will go up because, inflation. Thank you, Donald. But it's definitely something that I would worthwhile doing. However, that discount code is only available for 24 hours. Now it's really 24 hours. The one at 12 p.m. was a little bit longer, but now it is 12. It's 24 hours. Tomorrow night, exactly. Cool.
Daniel, we've got a question here, and thank you, Belle, for your compliment there as well. So thank you for that. She said she loves our energy. The question she wants to know is that after completing the exam, what kind of certificate do they get? Is it a designer or consultant, or what does it depend on? So maybe we should clarify that.
Okay, so if you have done a degree in the building industry, that is like a 3-year study or longer, then you're getting the designer certification. If you haven't done a degree related to the building industry, then you're getting the consultant. It's exactly the same course, exactly the same exam, but just that little thing is different in the icon. What I find a little bit, unfair, because you're doing exactly the same thing, but what is more valuable, the designer or consultant? I find even the name consultant has a higher value if people don't know what it means. The designer theoretically tells that a person has as well a degree in the building industry. Yeah.
But from the Passive House side, there's no difference. But if you wanna let us know what, or Passive House Institute needs to know what you've done, as you have to attach your degree, and then they get you to the right to the right category.
Yeah, and if you're a builder and you have a building license, so you're having a building license, then you would get it as well.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's another one. So if you have a builder in there. And another gift for you guys. We have another gift that normally costs $500 today, totally free. If you want it, you just have to let us know. And that is our 101 Passive House Designer course. So please let us know if you want it. Put it into the chat. And this song is the Passive House song that we've built back in the day.
Email address as well. We need the email address.
We should theoretically have it. And if you have any questions, like the song is good, but come on, yeah. So the song is cool, but if you've still any questions, please let us know. We're here to help. I think there's even an option where you could theoretically jump in and ask for an access to the session here, the live session. Keep in mind, you will be live on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and on Facebook. Yeah, but theoretically, if you want, you can actually now raise your hand or whatever and get in. Perfect. But if you have not more questions, I hope this gave you a little bit an idea of how Passive House can help you, how Passive House can help your clients, and who we are as a
team.
Yeah. As a teacher team. The crazy dude and the one that is sane.
Maybe also, Daniel, if you want to share quickly the email address. So if you have any questions coming up after the session, because I know how it is, you're thinking, I don't have any questions. And then as soon as we finish this session, you go, I did actually have a question. So you can contact us via this email address. There will be someone on the other side. So please ask us your question, book a call, whatever you need. We're here to have a chat, personal chat, if you want that. Otherwise, the people that have, thank you for replying 101, we will get that ready for you. And then you can start learning straight away. It's a really good course, already gives you lots of insights into Passive House, or lots of your basics. So I think this already gives you a really, really good overview.
Yeah, it gives you a good overview, it gives you a good start, and you have access to us, not just Amy, our AI tutor. And if you call us, and it's not us, then it's Aiden, our AI call support and chat. So if you go for the chat widget on our website, you will be speaking to Aiden. And if you call us, it's well Aiden that will speak to you.
Unless one of us picks up.
Except we are faster. But Aiden is bloody quick. He knows to answer phones and answer in the chat. Okay, thank you, everybody. It was great having you. And I'm looking forward to have you in 2 weeks in the welcome session for our next cohort.
Yes.
Or in one of our other sessions. I don't know if you have alumni here even. If alumni are here, I hope you were learning something in here as well. You know, I always try to provide as well information for you guys, like the 1 liter per square meter is something you probably haven't heard yet. Yeah, or as well the $500 a square meter construction cost, and 30% is actually what the design part is. So these are things that might be new for you and helpful. So thank you again, and I wish you a beautiful afternoon if you're in Australia or New Zealand, and if you're sitting around in beautiful Europe, then I wish you a beautiful day.
Great day.
Talk
See you. Bye.
Bye.